I'm now live streaming to Twitch. I am now, oops. I am theoretically live streaming to YouTube. There is Facebook. Let me do a quick refresh on things, make sure that we're going. Yeah, no green screen today. I can tell you why in a second.
Did you bring your cat to the office or something? She knocked it down?
Close. All right, hello and welcome to Court of the Rings here on twitch.tv/LotroStream, youtube.com/Lord of the Rings/live, and facebook.com/Lotro. I'm Lotro's community manager, Cordovan, and with me is Druid's Fire. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Not bad. I have been keeping busier than I would prefer. I think for those who have been kind of following any of my personal channels or whatever, I have my son for the summer here, and I love it. It's fun, and I've got a lot of work to do before I picked him up, or I pick him up this weekend. And so I have just been working so hard over the past couple of, let's say, 10 days, getting like a bedroom renovation project ready so that I can actually say, sleep in my bedroom, etc. Stuff like that, and it's just been driving me super busy. So I have been having a kind of a hard time getting much of anything done, really. But I'm here now, and I need to clearly
Not sell any reputation items
yes, that's what I'm trying to do.
or XP things for your allies and
Yes,
stuff.
exactly right. While at the same time, I don't need the skirmish field manual traits, right? Because we already
No,
took
that's
care of
just
the
a
thing.
book.
Okay, yeah. So I can talk a little bit about kind of what's going on. We do actually have some things I can talk about here, and I'll even I will even tell you a little bit about virtue stuff here in a few minutes. So welcome everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Sorry you had to make me watch me do inventory.
Oh, complete. Oh, you forgot to complete the breadcrumb.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it'll come back.
Here you are giving me more inventory. I appreciate
Yes.
the gearing you're doing, but I do not have room.
Well, if
Yeah.
you actually manage your inventory in a reasonable fashion, you would have room.
Wait a second, what's that? I don't know what that means. Rezonable? I don't think it's zonable to begin with.
You are ill-equipped to venture into Khazad-dûm.
On beta server, how many people from USA servers can be together with people from EU servers, and at normal servers can't be with transfers? So Crow Machine, the beta server is its own server and client on top of that. So how people can be from both USA servers and EU servers in the beta environment is because it is largely non-impacting to live. So, and it does like a character copy rather than a character transfer. So you're not. You say, why can't you do a transfer? The reason is you're not doing a transfer over to Bullroar. You're doing a character copy, and there's a significant difference between those two. So that's the answer to your question.
Actually, Chromite had an idea about that sort of thing, to use a third server as a clearinghouse to be able to transfer to that and then transfer off to one of the other servers. But I think it goes way above my head.
some of this is also far beyond, something I could just kind of off the cuff give you accurate answers to. But I know, for example, one reason is that because Bull Roar uses its own account management system, essentially, that any kind of, say, tech issues that might prevent old Codemasters accounts from integrating with new DDO or Lotro accounts and stuff, that might, that becomes a non-issue as well. So, and that's my understanding of the large reason why Lord of the Rings Online has had some of those issues that it did at the time, is due to basically underlying differences between the way the players from that former services, servers were structured compared to ours. And so there's a way, we could reconcile it, but that you can't just necessarily have full functionality. And that's sort of why some of those old Codemasters accounts in particular might have some weirdness to them. Okay, let me see if I can get any other kinds of questions. Talk about the new virtue grinding we are getting. So excited. /S. As sure as Fabiano, I would be happy to do that. So one of the things I'm going to be doing today, as soon as I get off the stream and get a little lunch and things like that, is I'm working to post up on the Bull Roar forums what is likely to be pretty darn close to the final release notes for Update 24. We were unable to have a Bull Roar preview this week as intended due to really some techie internal things with the Kynapse build engine or something like that. That kind of caused some headaches that adjusted our timetable for the Bull Roar preview. So we're working to get one next week. And next week's preview, let's say Tuesday-ish, probably, maybe, will probably be our final Update 24 preview.
Don't follow me. I'm going to the Forge Master.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm actually ready to get, once you're done there, we'll actually get going here. So I'm actually, I have to complete riddles in the library, so I'm just going to bop over to Sot quickly, and then we can defend the way of the Smiths with Drums in the Deep, because that's... Stothkel is where? He's not around here, is he?
No, he's not in the way of the Smiths. We'll
Yeah.
have to go there from the Dolven View.
Okay, but I nonetheless...
So Sot is in the Dolven View, isn't
yeah,
it?
Yes. I actually know where Sot... I actually know where Sot is. How amazing is that? Before I did it last eve.
The time has come to drive forth the orcs from our kingdom.
Okay, yes, I'm calling up the virtue system stuff. Hang on a sec. I don't have it yet staged anywhere publicly, so I can't put it up on the screen. But that's one of the things I'm doing this afternoon. So it should have basically a bunch more info on the virtue system update that will hopefully help answer some of the questions. The one piece it does not have, and that's because we had to go back and forth a little bit on it, is just how much of the raw numbers we should say, well, you will earn X from Y and Y for Z and things like that. But instead, we're not going to include that at the moment, mostly because we want to have a little bit of flexibility to get a sense of how things work progression-wise on the live worlds. And rather than set some kind of permanent, in stone, you shall always be rewarded X, kind of a thing, we're going to, we have good numbers. But before we'd rather give ourselves a little bit of room to make sure it's what it needs to be. Which is less of a grind than I think some people think. At least that's the intention. So,
You also
okay.
have a class quest there, a minstrel quest?
Yeah, Pata. Is Pata around here somewhere?
I don't know. Let me see the quest.
I don't even know where I got that. Minstrel Path of the Watcher of Resolve.
Oh,
Talk to
he's in the
Pata.
basement.
Yeah. Whatever, I can just ignore that for now. Let's go to Stothkel then, perhaps.
Get to your goat.
Yep. While I'm doing, let me actually. Can you just hang still for a second? Let me put you on follow. That way, I can go over the notes here while we're making our way there. Okay.
Oh, Chatty put me on follow.
Okay, so the virtue system has been updated. The system now advances through virtue experience, allowing you to select the virtue that will benefit from your deed completions. Open the traits panel with J to navigate to the redesigned virtues tab to examine your virtues, select an earning virtue, and slot any virtues you would like active. So the core changes for those who just need a big picture or want a big picture is that we're detaching specific virtues from specific deeds and instead shifting over to a system where instead of chasing down specific virtues, you are earning virtue XP that you can apply far more flexibly than you currently can. Additionally, passive virtues that you earn will provide very small passive benefits, so that there is a reason to care about virtues even after you've, quote, got yours, so to speak, under the current system. And you get to decide which virtue earns that XP. So all deeds that currently grant a specific virtue will instead grant virtue XP that can be assigned by players to a virtue of their choice. There's a new virtue, Wit, that has been added to the game. The stats of all the virtues, in the vast majority of cases, are going to be better than they were previously. The only reason I'm not saying all there is because someone on the design team was like, just in case I'm wrong, or maybe there's one that just due to scaling, let's not promise everything's better, but probably everything's better. Players who earned virtue ranks that could not be previously expressed will gain credit when Update 24 is released. So if you've been doing a bunch of virtue work, when Update 24 is released, you will be... the goal is to put you at parity where you are. And maybe even a little ahead of the game. Virtue benefits will be capped based on character level. Oops, shoot. As I lost my page. Great. Oh, come on. No. There we go. Okay, here we go. I just lost the page briefly. So virtue benefits will be capped based on character level, including the non-slotted virtues passive benefits. So those passive benefits as well will scale with level. There are numerous ways to gain virtue XP, including deeds, end-game repeatable quests, festival quests, and featured challenges. Virtues have been unpublished from the Lotro store and will be no longer available to purchase. All currently held virtue tomes will convert into items that grant equivalent XP. Virtue tomes found in old rare loot boxes will be replaced with an item granting 1,000 virtue XP. The Gift of the Valar's Blessing and Aria, those had included a whole bunch of kind of virtue stuff which is also, it was a mess. So that's why we're streamlining that as well. So the gift will be 25 items, each granting 20,000 virtue XP, and 10 items of 10,000 virtue XP. The blessing is 20 items with 20,000 virtue XP. And Valar, 5 items, 70,000 virtue XP, 15 items for 20,000. So it looks like, just doing the raw math, it looks like we're looking at 30, 20, 90, something like that, in terms of the XP you get. I will let others do the math on that. The virtue XP items from the Valars are acquired via a quest after you consume the Valar. So one of the pieces that we have not focused too much on is that we're really trying to draw this more in-game as a system and detach it from some of the limiting factors that it's had in the past. The idea on the grind, because we know that whenever you're trying to introduce grind to or not a grind, but introduce this kind of system to a game, there's going to be player fear that, oh my gosh, I don't want to do all that grind, all that work. The goal is to be less on that at this point. So we'll see how things go. We have been keeping close eye on your feedback, both on Bull Roar and, read about people's fears on live and such. We've run the numbers on things internally, and things are looking... gosh, I hate to use any loaded words. I'm tempted to say things are, I think you're going to be happy about it, but then hey, okay. So just to provide a few numbers that are currently set, and the reason we didn't put that in the release notes is that unlike, when we started doing, say, like the Black Steel keys that you would get for certain completions and things like that, that was introduced as a number that was meant to change over time, and the community really locked onto it. So any numbers that we give are going to be seen by some segment of the community as a pledge in stone forever, and that is not the case with this stuff. But for the purposes of helping some folks out here today, let me give a few of them. So when Update 24 launches, there'll be 16 new one-time deeds that will give 2,000 Virtue XP each, something along the lines of about twice that for the Meta deed. This will let you advance your 5 slotted virtues almost to 60 if you've done every deed in-game already. Towards the end game, it'll be shooting for approximately at launch here from that one source at about 6,000 Virtue XP per week. Festivals will be in the range of about 5,000 Virtue XP for each festival. Featured challenges will give a small amount of Virtue XP. I don't want to know what that number actually is going to end up with. And then I already talked about the loot boxes, Gift of the Valar. So they want to deliberately leave some room to kind of leave space in the design, in the design space for it. So at ranks 55 to 59, a Virtue XP tier requires about 1,900 Virtue XP to rank up. So if you look at the numbers I just gave, you're getting more than enough to rank up a Virtue from, say, 55 to 59 per thing you get, for the most part. 60 to 65 is 2,000 Virtue XP each to rank up, which again is generally a rank per reward. And then at cap, there's some other numbers, but again, I don't want to get into that yet because we have not yet released, and I'd hate to be wrong. But that's kind of a sense of where we're at right now. So again, when I see those numbers on the forums, and then people say, "You promised," the answer is no. We explicitly, right now, I am telling you, did not. So if you believe that that number is a promise, then you are simply wrong and will forever be wrong. Which one is it? I can never remember which one the skirmish panel is. L? No, Shift L? Control L?
J.
Control J? Alright.
Which you can't do because you're not the instance leader anyway.
Oh, okay. How much will Virtue XP cost on the Lotrister? So like I was just saying, Boromund, where the answer is it's not available at the moment. So
Click on the warrior icon to summon your dude.
Yep. Or if it is, I can't think of it. But the goal is, this is an in-game system at 24 launch here, so yep. If you read the patch notes correctly, you can set a virtue as a leveling virtue. If that is at maximum, the slotted virtues will be filled up. What will happen when those are maxed as well, going to non-slotted least XP? So I believe the answer to what you're saying is ultimately it's a manual process where you will adaptively over time select which one you want to do. So So in this particular case, in your particular case, you would presumably want to level up your active virtues first and then start going through the passive virtues. Where are you at? Okay, there we go. I'm trying to figure out what the heck's going on. So you will get Virtue XP for running featured instance challenges. Yes. My understanding is it's a lesser amount, just due to the fact that they're real quick and easy in some cases. So the numbers are scaled appropriately, but yes. Sorry, I'm trying to call up chat here. Okay. No, Chromite. We're not essentially doing a Virtue XP reset that then lets all players reassign all their Virtue XP. That said, the conversion rate should put you, I think even frankly, a little ahead of parity, so you should be fine. If you stop Lotro with Codemaster days and need to start now as a way to take your account back or lost after so many years. Lost after so many years. For quite a period of time, it was possible, but that was years ago at this point. And I believe that any further sort of finding of old Codemasters accounts are simply well beyond possible. Okay, I'll move to the other chat. Any news about the Mirkwood release date? Not really. You know, as folks have obviously surmised, it's coming up there, but nothing to announce today. I would just say that we're on our we're on our typical schedule here at this point. So, if you know what that means, you know.
My warrior's stuck on the landscape.
Can't you just call it back to you?
I tried to. There we go, finally.
Is there going to be a bull roarer test for Mirkwood? I don't know. That's a good question. I would imagine that you'll at least see some elements of it, you know, in upcoming bull roarers. I don't know. Maybe you already have. But no, I think typically we're not doing, for the most part, I don't think the intention is to do separate bull roarers just for the legendary worlds, for the most part. But then ultimately, bull roarer is also determined by our needs. You know, what do we need to get done? Why are we doing a preview? So if the why is because there's a good reason to, then sure, you know.
Heal yourself, please.
Yep. Sorry, I just want to get to Kermite's excellent answer to Telerian's question. Also, if you have a virtue selected and it is at max, and then you get more virtue XP, it overflows into the first virtue after the selected virtue that has not been maxed yet. And then, of course, you will want to, presumably, manually assign that yourself, but you don't technically have to. All right, I want to get back to YouTube here. Oh, I'm broadcasting from the broom closet. So I forgot, I never mentioned it. So the reason, this is actually what the studio usually looks like when I don't have a green screen behind my chair here, which I've been kind of using on the Locher side because I think it's awesome. But yeah, this is just a green screen over an old shelf. And the reason I don't have it today... The reason I don't have it is because I've been green screening my cat.
Ah.
But come on, man. You telling me you wouldn't do it? Yeah. And I forgot to bring it to the office today. All right.
That's his cat.
Yep. I have not heard anything further about T3 raid vendors, Phil Newell. I did pass a question along, but I've not heard back in any kind of meaningful way that I could pass along to you today. Sorry. Are we going to get ray tracing? I would say the odds are slim. I mean, never say never on that stuff, you know. If you had asked in 2008, would we get DX12? Oh.
Hey, you dinged.
Yay! But, I suspect the answer to that is unlikely. Is it possible to play a mini with, like, no shield both in and out of combat? I would guess so. Right? Why have we not added PvMP on the legendary servers? That's an oldie. We've had that one for quite some time now. We've said from the start that our intentions with PvMP on the legendary worlds is to consider it when the legendary worlds catch up to the regular worlds. Clearly that's not what some people would like. We are continuing to listen to your feedback on it, and when I have further information to pass along, I will let you know. Oh yeah, does U24 have a date? So, remember last week when I basically gave a release date and said, and then when I'm wrong, it's entirely my fault? Well, hey, it took about 4 hours for me to be entirely wrong. So, let me not give a release date at this point. But it's coming. We're real close.
Well, it wouldn't be next week, even though, you know, because you had said it could possibly be by the end of the month. And yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Things change.
Is it advisable to unslot all of your current virtues before the update? That's a great question. I have not heard of any particular reason why you would, quote, need or want to do that. But I don't know, Kermit, if you're out there and you've been, you know, looks like you've been doing a little kind of testing on Bullroar, is there a reason why you might want to unslot your virtues? I can't think of a reason for it, but... New ways to exchange ashes in Update 24. No. Yes? No? I don't think so. Lotro Vids was basically just recently playing the classic World of Warcraft and comment that just what kind of recently got out there or what have you, and was saying that landscape questing is so much more fun and engaging, largely because it was a lot harder, and wondered if we'd ever up the difficulty of Lotro's landscapes. That's a great question. We tend to really prefer to base that on feedback. I don't know that I feel we're in a terrible place for the most part right now on landscapes, but I think it's always going to be a moving target that's always being shot at, so to speak. That's interesting, though. I mean, if we suddenly heard a whole bunch of, or consistently heard over time, I think, a bunch of player feedback that they would love to see a hard landscape, like a particularly hard landscape or something like that, I'm sure we would at least consider it. But I'm not sure that in general I've received that feedback. I mean, I think if someone were to ask me, do players want the landscape to be really, like, frustratingly difficult, I think I'd probably say probably not.
Can you say Mordor?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I mean, logically, I don't.
Yeah, like I say, it's
I know.
interesting, and there's certainly people who would be like, oh, heck yeah. I just wonder if, you know, when you're looking at stuff like that, you're often looking at trying to find the perfect middle ground that makes everyone happy, or as many happy as you can. And I'm not sure that significantly increasing the difficulty for landscapes would achieve that goal.
Well, I would think it'd be a big turnoff to any new players if, you know, you roll out of Archit or something and all of a sudden you get, you know, nuked to the ground just because the landscape got harder before you've had a chance to really learn your class or learn how to play the game. So there's always a balance. I think somebody had a post on the forums about that, a very cogent answer.
Oh, maybe maybe that's why I came up here on stream today. Maybe that was kind of a continuation of that discussion. It's a cool discussion. I like it. I just don't really have much to say. I think if you were to ask me personally, I'm not opposed, you know, but what I personally want rarely matters.
Kill the Kraban before you can kill the Falconer.
Yeah. Oh, are there any more Krabans out there? Where are they?
Well, we killed them and now we can kill him.
Okay, well, I'm just seeing a lot of absorbed messaging.
Yeah, that's because he summoned a new one.
Okay. Someone asked why there are 2 open slots, 1 grayed out for the new Spring Festival mount. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask about that one. I actually was not aware of that. I think Gumsking has a really cool thought on it too, that perhaps if we were to do some kind of systemic landscape balance thing, something like a kind of a special server might be an appropriate place for something like that.
You gotta go down to the lower level.
With your help, we will be ready for anything.
Oh, the Lotro Beacon giveaway each week. Is the winner rolled randomly, or do you look at what has been written? Yes. I always start with well, so I'm not doing it the Beacon anymore, although I did it a couple weeks ago here. Olive you is, so that'd be a question for her, but assuming that she does the same thing I did, basically just to use a random number generator based on the number of comments post filtered for those who are double posting, and then see what that comment is, and assuming it's not, boy does SSG suck, then go for it. I've had some mild criticism over the years on the forums about, why do I have to write this stupid thing that nobody ever reads? And the reason is because it's fun. Because it is better than literally 14 pages of, consider this my entry, because it just gives people something dumb to talk about. That's my perfect Beacon question, is one that is a little bit ridiculous.
Heal Stealth Cow, please. Or not.
Well, I tried. I was healing. Perfectly right in the middle of everything. It's funny, but it's dumb. And it's also creative and allows people to come up with their own dumb things. That is the perfect, in my opinion, Beacon comment. I don't know what I want. Do I want endurance? Does it matter which one I choose?
Well, don't choose dexterity because that's for me.
I'm guessing endurance.
What's the last one?
Fortune.
Fortune is more yours, and
Okay.
so basically endurance would be more for your melee types, dexterity's for your agility types. and
Oh,
fortune is for
so I
your
should have gone for endurance then.
If I could reach through the internet and smack you on the side of the head. All y'all who watch NCIS, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You need to get a gift.
That's fun. So we do read the comments, but hey, if you're really just like, I wanted to enter this week, but I just couldn't think of something. It's fine. Just write something. It's fine.
So this week you're going to get a whole slew of things where the only thing in the post is the word something.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it used to actually be that way, or pretty darn close to it, which is why I shifted over to a question. Because it was just really just not fun in the slightest to basically post the chronicle at the time and just have page after page after page of entry, whatever. So I started doing like, well, what if I made you answer a really dumb question?
Long may we fight against our enemies.
Do we have time for this?
We do technically because Corey is not on today, so I'm taking over after you're done.
About how long do you think this is going to take?
I don't know. Why don't we try it and see what happens?
Sounds good. Yep.
Actually, don't take that because I set it to level 65 and you're only 61.
Let's do it.
His strength against Durin's folk, assaulting many key encampments. If the 21st hall falls, then the advantage
YOLO.
falls to Mark's
Yep.
orcs.
Do I have any updates now? Testing is coming along at the 64-bit client. Yeah, it's basically ready to go, as far as I'm aware. My belief is that we are going to be releasing it as an option for Update 24. That is currently the case. People will have to opt into it, and that's just going to be a launcher option. You know, basically, it's going to default initially to 32-bit, just for widest compatibility, of course, right? And then you'll be able to switch it to 64-bit when Update 24 is released in the very near future.
You could drop a heal in my work. Well, never mind.
Wait a second, I can do what?
Nothing. I have to resummon her.
I wasn't really aware that we were in rough shape here. It seemed like we were going okay. I will follow up on an engineer regarding what level of 64-bitness the wine client is. I thought it was... Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to ask. All right. Is the captain work the next thing you guys want to do after Update 24? Ish would be how I would describe that. I believe that Vastin in particular does have another pressing task, but I think it's pretty close to next. I think it's next as soon as there's time to work on classes and get something done. I think that's next. But ultimately, as we've said throughout, that order of development is not necessarily order of release. And so I can't promise today that Captain will be next released, even if it is next worked on.
Good job. Can I have a rest, please?
Oh, no. Sorry. I gotta find my res. I don't know if I've even resed. Oh, no. Oops. I don't know what I'm doing. You know, I think this is the first time I've ever had to res. Rally. That's what I should have used. Okay.
They're still fighting behind us.
Alicia, Are we aware that there have been a lot of problems with trolling and arguments on Arkenstone World Chat in the past few months? Yes. Our in-game team continues to work to enforce the code of conduct on all worlds, including Arkenstone. But while Arkenstone is traditionally a place of tranquil calm, with no trolling ever in World Chat, once every 5 to 10 years, someone will say something insulting in World Chat. Will pre-order expansion cosmetics and steeds ever going to be on store? No. If it is not already on in the store, then it is highly unlikely it will be in the future. And the reason for that is, because those were listed as legally binding exclusives for the most part. And we do not have an option to sell them if we wish to abide by particularly European consumer trade law. So, typically. Now you could always get into a armchair legal debate, and that could perhaps happen someday. But typically, if we have sold to you an item that we say this is an exclusive pre-order item only, you will only get this ever if you pre-order the item, that's why it is an exclusive, then we will not turn around and sell it in the Lotro store. Ever.
Can you resummon your warrior, please?
Your warrior's looking great. What is up with your warrior?
That happens with him a lot.
Victory is ours this day! Baruch Kazan!
Victory is ours this day! Baruch Azad!
Down here, please.
Yep. Have to agree with almost everything regarding Guardians very politely. Yeah, that's another thing we always run into is the challenge on the design side of trying to, quote, make everyone happy. But hopefully, you know, I mean, the goal here on the captain is to make more captains happy. So hopefully you will be excited to learn in the relatively near future what the team's got in mind.
Heal yourself, please.
Yep. If you are getting a cannot patch error for weeks, Piano, I am very sorry to say that my suggestion would be to completely uninstall and completely reinstall the Lotro game client, pulling the core exe fresh from the Lord of the Rings Online Lotro.com download page. That would be my suggestion. There may be other solutions, but that one would be the one I'd probably recommend, because it kind of sounds like you got something borked with your install. Borked being the official term. You know, most people think binary is 1 and 0, but in actuality it's 5 Just use the one number 5. So when it gets client exe error 5, that means your client's borked. But it's saying it in binary. Oops. I keep interrupting my healing. Stop that, me! All right. One of the things I really have been enjoying with the Runekeeper is dropping those healing stones. It's been pretty enjoyable for me in combat, rather than trying to keep myself alive like this. I think it's one of the reasons I've been kind of digging my RK a little bit more than my Minstrel.
Hang on, there's somebody else here. We should kill him before we move on to the next step.
Okay.
He waited so patiently for us to kill him.
Yeah.
Very polite.
Cool.
Yeah, we can talk to Wheelie, move on.
Mm-hmm. Where is he up? That way. Ooh, Goblin Sapper, huh? Do we need to knock them out first?
Yeah, I've been taking care of this. One thing, chat, you might want to be aware of is not everybody does everything the same way. And what one player may find easy is not easy to another player with the same spec, same build. So please show some allowance for level of skill and knowledge of the game. Some folks are more fine-tuned to the nuances of their class, can min-max it pretty well. Others can't. So, you know, just be careful when you're throwing out words. Oh, this is so easy or this is so tough. Just have a little perspective, please.
I mean, I do think in as a general,
Feel yourself.
does oh yeah, as a general rule, we tend to go for, we're not going to make our hardest challenge for a piece of content the landscape for the most part, right? That's not to say we've never had jeepers, crikey. Okay, let me back up here a little bit. Try to.
Yeah.
There we go. This is cool though.
Summon your warrior. There we go.
Has anything been said about when Update 24 is coming out? Stay tuned. We are currently working on a preview for next week on Bull Roar. So, assuming that goes well, then I think the intention is that Update 24 would be released a pretty short time past that. But stay tuned for kind of a formal day and time. Let me mention, I have not yet mentioned this stream that as of yesterday, we were able to bring back a Spring Festival Encore. This is something that quite a few of you have been asking us to do in last couple of months. And so we wanted to, well, we've had a bit of a challenge, shall we say, getting an opportunity to make that happen. But I love Still as Death. That's one of my favorites. Well, because of the kind of complicated Bull Roar thing and all that I mentioned earlier, it gave us an opportunity basically to have just a little bit more time than we maybe had originally planned. And so we had enough time to squeeze in a Spring Festival Encore. So now we have got the Spring Festival running from now through June 3rd. It'll be shut off at 3 a.m. Eastern on June 4th. And that should, for the dedicated at least, give you enough time to complete the meta wrapper, the daily. Because there's 12 days of that.
We also have the VIP bonus going on too.
Yep. And we've got a VIP event weekend going on this weekend. And because in the U.S., this is one of the biggest holidays in the United States every year, Memorial Day weekend tends to be, besides a weekend to honor those who fought and served in the United States armies and military and things like that, and generally worldwide, it is a big kind of kickoff to spring summer in the United States. So it's sort of one of the big 3-day weekends seasonally. So all of our bonuses and stuff go through Monday, not through Sunday, this particular weekend. Ask SSG to make the game good like it was before. What? You're right. That's what's been missing. No, I'm kidding. If only I'd thought of that.
Victory is ours this day.
This part actually annoys me because you have to run so far.
Okay. Summon your warrior, Gia. They don't like that little alcove there if you've cut corners on your movement. I agree. I need to give my warrior name. How do I rename my warrior? Remind me?
I never worry about renaming a warrior.
Yeah, but I want to. How do I do it?
I don't think you can. All right, other end of the hallway. This is why I hate the. Just you're not a hunter. This is annoying.
I dubbed the Money Train warrior ally of Dwinstrel in honor of the truly terrible 1993 film experience I watched while literally waiting for things to get done that I had to do elsewhere yesterday. If you're like, what? It was apparently a big movie. This has got a massive cast, including Jennifer Lopez, Wesley Snipes, and Woody Harrelson. But wow, is it bad? The only reason it's not like in my shelf of honor right now is because it wasn't as fun to watch as some of the other bad movies that I like.
Aha, you have to actually click on, select them so you have the full menu popping up on their character portrait. Thank you, chat.
Yes, as a matter of fact, the reason I watched it is I had a double feature of that and Demolition Man this in recent days. And I love that movie. I love Demolition Man. It's so good. It's so bad good. It's good bad.
A movie that's so bad that's not even good, The Avengers. Not the Marvel comic movie, but the one based on the Secret Agent series from the 60s with Patrick McNee and Diana Rigg. That movie was terrible, but
bet.
it's funny.
Does it have the real cast?
Well, Patrick McNee had a cameo of sorts, but it had Sean Connery eating like entire scenery. Oh man, it was so bad.
I will always. You say Patrick McNee?
Yes.
I will always know him as Count Ebley.
Oh yes.
Yep. Of course I know how to use the 3 seashells. What? Think I'm some kind of primitive? Yep. Well, I recognize your tone is quasi-facetious, but you don't understand. Yeah.
Yes, Kanjal, that's exactly the movie I'm referring to. Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman as the characters, and it had the charm of the original show, but the movie was so badly edited. And Eddie Izzard's in it.
Wow, that is pretty far out.
It was so badly edited.
Oh, pet menu. Rename warrior. Okay. What your name shall be? Count Ibli. Oops, I can't. Fine, I'll just call you Ibli.
Probably the space.
Yep. That's a deep 1978 Battlestar Galactica TV show cut, if you happen to not be like, what?
Kill yourself, please.
Yep. It's this AoE attack stuff. I've been trying to do my Inspire Fellows and such, but I guess I need to rank it up a little more.
Well, or else you might need to not be out of line of sight.
Yeah.
Over there in the corner.
Yeah, I just need to hide.
Well, you wanted to be healer tank.
Ah! Holy gamoly.
Come on, Jerry,
Hooray.
clutch heals.
I'm trying! I suck. Alright. I don't suppose you can
Where
res me.
are you?
I'm
I
behind
can
a
res you.
pillar.
Where are you?
I was trying to find a way out of their AoE, but it just wasn't working. How would everyone feel about new streamers coming back to Lotro? Would you guys watch it? Yes, I would think in general. The answer to that would be a for sure. There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Victory is ours this day! Baruch Kazan!
Okay.
Victory is ours this day! Baruch Kazan!
I need to reforge all of the things.
Yep. All right. Well, we're at 112 here, so I'm going to head on out. You had mentioned that Corey Olson was not here today, so you'll be taking over later this afternoon. What's on tap for your show?
I'm gonna hop over to Honor and level up my Lobby character there in the Mythgard kinship, and do kin invites for anybody who wants to join Mythgard. And for my own show, I'm probably gonna hop over to Crick Hollow and play my hunter and get maybe a level on her because we have the bonus weekend.
All right. And you can check out the Beacon for all the latest kind of sales and bonuses. Get more detail on the spring anniversary event. Encore. Stay tuned to the Bull Roar forums this afternoon. I'm going to try to post up more on the Virtue system and a few other things there. So thanks very much for watching, everyone, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.